Hey guys, this is Anita. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be long. It's a deep dive into KJ Parker's Engineering Trilogy. I took a lot of notes. It's like 16 pages. Before reading this trilogy, I read 3 standalones by Parker: Folding Knife, The Company, and The Hammer, and they were instant hit for me. This is not an instant hit for me. I struggled with it. I like this trilogy. I think second book is my favorite. I gave 5 stars to second book, and I gave 4.5 stars to third book and 4.25 stars to first book. I definitely struggled with it. This series overall may be the bleakest of Parker's I have read. I think this can be classified as grimdark. I'm not sure if you watched it, but recently I had a grimdark discussion with Alan, Sarah and Klaus in my channel. In that we decided that there is no specific definition for grimdark. It depends on how we feel about each book. So there are different criteria for a book to be called grimdark: bleak setting and morally grey characters and obviously violence. This book definitely qualifies to be the bleakest setting. Actually, it made me miserable. There are definitely almost all characters are morally grey characters. I think some of them are anti-heroes and villains. I'll get to that. And there is violence in that, but that is not glorified. We don't feel this book series is violent. There are battles and so many people die, obviously, but focus is not on the violence of it. Focus is on the character who is responsible for that, motivations behind that character. Parker's characters, almost every main character I read so far are morally grey characters, but I never struggled to understand them. Neither Parker nor his characters try to convince us they're good people. They own up to their actions. I like that approach. It's almost the same case in this series, but I struggle to get behind the main character's actions in this series because I don't call him a morally grey character. He is a villain for me. Some people may call him anti-hero. I even read a Reddit thread about this. Anti-hero is not someone who is inherently evil. One might say that this main character Gianni Vargas is not evil, but the things happened to him forced him to make those choices. But I don't agree with that. I believe it is not possible for somebody to become that evil instantaneously. When something happened to them, they have to be evil for them to push to the limits to get that evilness to the front. Does that make sense? Actually, I note down what I wanted to talk about, in which order I want to talk in 16 pages. I am not looking at my notes and I'm all over the place where I have written like in 4th page or 5th page that I'm talking right now. I think I need to slow down, look at my notes and do it in order. I struggled most of the first book. That's why I gave that book 4.25 stars. But by the second book, I got comfortable. I'm not obviously comfortable with main character's actions, but at least I could see the Parker's brilliant execution more than the shock I got from the first book. So I enjoyed book 2 more. And even then I was a little uncomfortable with all these shady characters. I think at the end of third book, I think when I had like 100 pages left, that's when I decided to do this video. I wanted to talk about these characters, what Parker made me feel with different characters. No one could have done it. There is a psychopath character in this book, which is the best character for me. Nobody could have made me like that character. I'm not saying I like a psychopath. Obviously, he is creepy, but I saw hope in that character. Only Parker could do that. Anyway, I want to give a brief summary first, like a spoiler-free review, because nobody is going to watch this video. First of all, nobody reads Parker, and this is going to be a long video. I think maybe, hopefully, people who read this along with me may watch the video. Those 5 people and my mom, that's all. But anyway, by chance, if you stumble upon here and if you haven't read this series, the spoiler-free part is for you. I think I should start with the books. First book is called Devices and Desires. This is pretty long, I think 600 pages. That is a bit long for Parker. And the second book is Evil for Evil. This is also around 660 pages, the longest. And third book is called The Escapement. This is little short compared to those two. This is only 450 pages, but the font is very small compared to those two. We mainly follow 4 POVs. I think 5 if we add another character. Main character is Gianni, who is an engineer in Megentia City. He makes a doll for his child and he gets arrested for that. See this Megentia City. This is also called Perpetual Republic. Let's call that from now on. It seems like I cannot say Megentia. Okay, let's stick with Perpetual Republic. So this is very technological advanced. They run by making products, making devices, from farming tools to battle weapons. Their entire economy depends on manufacturing different tools. They don't even grow food, actually they import food because that is a waste of time for them. All their system depend on manufacturing and exporting. So they have strict regulations, specifications to follow for each product. Their law is strict. If any product is made beyond the specification, that is a big crime. So in this case, Gianni, to make a better doll for his daughter, he goes beyond the specification. So he gets arrested and sentenced for execution. He is worried about the future of his wife and daughter, so he escapes from jail and runs away from the city, but he wants to come back to the city and be reunited with his wife and daughter. That's what drives him and this whole series. Next 2 characters are Dukes of Erimia and Vadani. They are 2 neighboring nations, kingdoms, cities. I'm not sure what to call them. Let's go with nations. They used to always fight, always in the middle of some battle, but recently they have a peace agreement. Duke of Vadani is smart. When he was 15, he fell in love with Beatrice, who is the daughter of then Duke of Erimia. But before he approaches with marriage proposal, she gets married to Orsia, who is the current Duke of Erimia now. None of this is spoilers. This is part of the world building we learn in the first 50 pages. Valens is heartbroken, and from then on he focuses on being a good duke. Duke Orsia is a kind person. He cannot do a wrong thing. He cannot think a wrong thing. But unfortunately, whatever he does, whatever his intentions are, he fails in everything. He reminded me of that animation movie Luck, actually. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And he spends his time feeling guilty about the things that went wrong. And he has a loyal friend, Mil Ducas. That is our 4th character. He is an heir to the prominent noble family in Erimia. Actually, he was supposed to marry Beatrice when they were kids, but due to some internal politics, suddenly Beatrice became an heiress, so she can't get married to this prominent noble family's heir. So they got her married to the minor noble family heir, to Orsia. So all these 3 characters, Orsia, Valens, Mil Ducas, loves Beatrice. That is important, I'll get there. And there is also another important character, Psellus. I'm not sure if P is silent or not. So Psellus is a minister in Perpetual Republic who investigated Gianni after his escape to figure out his motives. Through his POV, we learn the political structure of Perpetual Republic and how system runs. Very interesting POV. And there are also some secondary characters who play a major role in overall plot. One of them is Gage Torrenja. He is the most complex character I have ever read in fantasy. Parker completely subverted this character. I mean, he subverted every character I have talked about so far, especially this character. We gamble everything with this character against our better judgment. So this trilogy revolves around these characters, what motivates them. That's no secret, it's love. Gianni's love for his wife, Valens, Mil Ducas, and Orsia's love for Beatrice. But it's not a romance. It explores what human being can do for someone he loves, the lens he can go to be with the person he loves. And in addition to that, Parker also explored duty, especially with Mel Lucas' character, the complexity of it, what it means to blindly do what you are supposed to do, and the repercussions of it. His character is an interesting case study. If you like grimdark and morally grey characters, it's perfect for you. I'm not even sure how to classify these characters. I'll try doing that in spoiler section. Overall, it's a fantastic exploration of flawed characters. I highly recommend it. Just remember that it's not action packed or fast paced. There are action scenes, there are battle scenes in every book, but the focus is not on the battle part of it, but the focus is on how these characters prepare for that battle, how they build factories to manufacture weapons. That's usual with Parker, so it's better to get used to his writing with his standalones like the folding knife or the hammer. Before reading this, Alan always recommend to start with folding knife, and I recommend the same. Now let's get into details of how Parker subverted each trope and each character archetype. So if you want to avoid spoilers, this is your last warning. Let's start with Gianni. In the beginning of book 1, when Gianni got arrested for making a children's doll, when they sentenced him to execution, I thought this system is crazy. So when he escaped, I thought he was going to fight the system. That's what back of the first book implied as well. Let me quickly read that. When an engineer is sentenced to death for a petty transgression of Gilda, he flees the city, leaving behind his wife and daughter. Forced into exile, he seeks a terrible vengeance, one that will leave a trail of death and destruction in its wake. But he will not be able to achieve this by himself. He must drop his plans using the blood of others. This is the extraordinary tale of a man who engineers a war to be reunited with his family. So when I read this, I thought it is about Gianni's revenge. I thought he was going to fight the system. I thought this is about a rebellion, and I'm completely wrong. Parker completely subverted the trope. Back of the book did not lie. Gianni wants to be reunited with his family, but people rebel if they don't believe in the system, if they want to bring the change. But Gianni completely believes in the system. He loves this system. He completely believes that specifications are in place for a reason and the law has to be strict. He is a true patriot. He doesn't want to change the system. He just wants to go back to his beloved city and be with his family. This was the first shock to me. Around 30% into the first book, I realized this is not about the rebellion, and I started understanding Gianni as a character. I still gave him benefit of the doubt, tried to see things from his perspective. By this time, he already met Orsia, Duke of Armenia, and proposed to make weapons in the battle against Perpetual Republic. This is where my problem started, because Gianni does not like Armenians. He thinks they are uneducated, they are savages, and he looks down on them. First, we think that Gianni is escaping from his city. He doesn't have food, he doesn't have water. He would have died if not for Armenians. Orsia and Mel Lucas saved his life. They gave him food, they gave him a place to live. Instead of being grateful to them, he started his own revenge plans by using them as pawns, and he can't even act being respectful to them. Actually, the realization, actually, when I realized that, I started hating Gianni. I struggled to be invested in a character like that, who was willing to commit a genocide to be with his family. That willingness to commit genocide is so big that dominated my entire perspective. I mean, whatever happened to him, I understand. He doesn't think that it was injustice. Obviously, he believes in the system. He confessed during the trial that he did the wrong thing. He knows he did the wrong thing. He believed in that. So he does not look at it as injustice. From his point of view, yes, he did the wrong thing, but he still wanted to go back and be with his family. That's the single-minded goal. But for us, it was injustice. Even though injustice happened to him, even though we know that that's what motivated him to do this, that entire genocide part dominated my perspective. I'm not sure if people actually look at it and find a great love, but I could not do that. That's the biggest difference between Gianni and other main characters by Parker. Though his other main characters are morally grey, actually they lean more towards the darker side. Even then, I could see the human side of those characters, whereas I failed to see that in Gianni. That's why he is outright villain for me. I cannot call him anti-hero, because if somebody is willing to erase not one, not two, three civilizations, three different nations for their own selfish reasons, I cannot say they are not evil. Personally, I cannot see how a good person can turn that evil no matter how desperate he is. Especially when he knows that his wife and daughter are not being tortured. This is not a rescue situation. This is where Parker's philosophy on love comes into play. Parker explored the evilness of love, not the beauty of love, usual Parker style. There is a quote in this book, I think Gianni says this: there is no such thing, no evil, no bad people, they are just a myth. Everything we do in this world, everything that matters, we do for love. It's always love when you peel away the shell. Everything really bad that was ever done was done for love. That's why there is no such thing as evil. Evil is just love in action, love on the move between wanting and getting. A man and a woman love each other, they have got no choice but to do whatever needs to be done. He has a point. When I was reading, I actually believed Parker proved this philosophy. I'll revisit that at the end of this video. When I was prepping for this video, when I was writing down my thoughts, that's when I got this idea that Parker proved the opposite of this. But when I was reading this, I completely believe that Parker proved this philosophy, that Gianni did everything for love. That's why I struggled actually, because I don't believe this philosophy. I understand his cynicism. I could relate to most of it. That plays big part of my enjoyment of his books. But his philosophy on love and how these characters did not have choice but to act this way did not sit well with me. Anyway, let's move on to our second character, Duke Orsia. If we look at the definition of this character, if we put on paper what kind of character Duke Orsia is, the character who can only do the right thing, this character is supposed to be a hero. But Parker completely flipped that and made him a loser. Whatever he does, he fails. We see that from the first scene itself. He went against a perpetual republic who has every kind of advanced battle weapons and lost, and poor Orsia lived with that guilt for the rest of his life. To be honest, it wasn't Orsia's sole decision to go to war against Perpetual Republic. He has ministers who recommended that, but he decided to carry that guilt by himself like a cross, which is a good quality in a leader as long as they don't let the guilt take over their lives. And when he picked up Gianni on the way back, he thought he was being kind and giving shelter to a man in need. Yeah, I mean, it's also to get Gianni's help in making weapons, but even without that, without knowing that, Orsia would have helped Gianni, and that action brought only destruction to Hermia. And he failed even in his marriage. His wife loves him and he loves his wife, but he failed to find peace and happiness there. I'm not sure if it is Parker's intention that in a world with people like Gianni, there is no place for someone like Orsia. I mean, we cannot give credit to Gianni of all Orsia's failures. His marriage was in trouble even before Gianni's arrival. Beatrice was lonely. That's why she started writing letters to Valence. Initially, it started innocent. Maybe it would have been innocent letter exchanges if Orsia had paid attention to her instead of feeling guilty and be secluded all the time. Orsia's character arc is just tragic, but I wasn't disappointed. I mean, I was sad, but I was not disappointed or even surprised because this is Parker book. Next two characters, Emil Dukas and Valence arcs, are what disappointed me. The more time I spent away from this series, I can see more clearly how brilliantly Parker subverted these two characters. But when I was reading it, I was very angry and disappointed. Orsia's character, I could see even in the first book how his character arc was going to be. But I really liked Emil Dukas and Valence in the first book. I thought, no, I hope they both would put check on Gianni's plans. Dukas even knew what kind of a person Gianni was. Gianni confessed to him at the end of the first book. So I thought Emil Dukas will meet Valence and tell him about Gianni, and they both will take down Gianni. But that did not happen. Anyway, let's start with Dukas. I think his character has more twists which I did not see at all. Initially, in the beginning of book 2, when he was leading the resistance against Perpetual Republic, I was very happy. I was surprised, but I was very happy. Then he got injured and rescued by scavengers, and then when he realized that they would sell him to Perpetual Republic army, he escaped from there as well, and he met this weird chemist and his daughter, and from there also he left, and then again caught by Perpetual Republic. And that's when my first disappointment came. Actually, I wanted him to be a hero. I expected him to be a hero. I expected him to be brave at least, but he kind of gave up. I was very surprised by the thought process there. Parker explored the philosophy of predator and prey through his thought process. He explored the same philosophy in Cyrus Corax trilogy as well. I read both these trilogies in parallel. That's why I could not help but compare. I loved that exploration of predator and prey in Cyrus Corax. Let me read a couple of lines. I have reduced myself to prey in its purest form, a creature that lives by grazing as it runs, its existence shaped and governed by the need not to be caught, killed and eaten, defined by its predators. Life in its basic manifestation. The only reason I had a life was so as to lose it as belatedly and as reluctantly as possible after the maximum of futile effort. This is from Cyrus Corax. I did not note down the quote from Engineer trilogy. I think this scene happened in second book, Evil for Evil. But it goes something like this, that it's prey's duty to be caught by predator, so he has done his duty. I mean, even in the quote from Cyrus Corax, it implied that it was prey's duty in different words, but it also talked about fighting till the end. There was hope in that, whereas this one lacks that hope. It felt like Emil Dukas gave up and ready to die, and it continued throughout the series. Later, he got rescued and gets arrested again, almost gets executed and re-traumatized. That was one of the saddest scenes. I mean, he wasn't supposed to be executed, but nobody told him that. He thought he was waiting in line to be executed and he ran away again. That re-traumatized him, and I don't think he healed from that. Now talking about it, I realize why his character went in that direction, and I even sympathize with that. But while reading it, I felt only disappointment that the scope of his character was wasted, because I waited all third book he was going to join hands with Valence and confront Gianni, do something about it, but it did not happen. But now talking about it, I'm realizing that expectation is wrong from me, because I read the trauma he was going through. I understand him better now. Anyway, at that time I expected him to help in defeating Gianni, but Parker had no intentions to defeat Gianni, so he defeated other characters. Let's talk about Valence. Valence is supposed to be the hero of the story, or that's what I thought. I loved him in book 1. Even now, I could not believe what happened to his character arc. He is the smart one. He is a good ruler. He is good at fencing. Again, Parker subverted his character and made him a dud. By the end, Parker destroyed everything Valence has built for himself. First, he went to rescue Beatrice and Orsia and put his nation in danger. So not a good ruler anymore. Parker doubling down on his philosophy and love. And he did not see Gianni's plans and married Curhadi's princess and completely fell in his trap. Whenever Valence believed Gianni, I could not help but think of Orsia. Valens hated Orsia because he thinks Orsia is stupid, but I felt Valens is as stupid as Orsia. It hurts me to say this because I liked Valens a lot, but that's true. Valens is as stupid as Orsia. The only difference is Orsia knows he's stupid and owns it. That made him a whiny character, but Valens doesn't know it, so that made him look like a confident character. So he came across very charming. There were moments where I felt deceived and angry. Now I can see that was Parker's intention all along. Actually, Parker did not even stop there. At the end, irrespective of being injured, Valens fenced with Dorenja and lost because of his ego. And because of that, he lost Beatrice's respect. He lost everything at the end, just had this shell of a power. I'm actually still surprised what Parker did with Ducas and Valens. Both have power at the end, but no love, which both of them crave. Ducas doesn't care about the duty anymore. Parker was just brilliant in how he subverted these two characters, because both of them are supposed to be heroes of the story to take down the villain, but they join hands with the villain Gianni at the final battle scene to take down Curhardi. They are not even villain actually, they are just pawns in the hands of Gianni for his own selfish goals. I am angry and awed at the same time. I still cannot believe how Parker achieved that and made me surprised. I did not expect that till the end. Anyway, now let's talk about the most fascinating character in this trilogy, that is Gage Dorenja. He is introduced in book 2. From the first moment itself, we can see that he's a creep. He literally stalked Gianni and made him uncomfortable. The only person who made Gianni restless is Dorenja, because he did not expect this character. He did not include Dorenja in his revenge plans. Actually, Dorenja is obsessed with his bomb. He found kind of powder which will create a big blast. Basically, he found a way to design a bomb, but he needs a device to hold that bomb. That's where he needed Gianni's help. For that, he made a deal with Gianni. He basically blackmailed Gianni that in return for his help, he'll be an assistant and help him in making battle weapons. Actually, Dorenja is the hardest worker in this book. Gianni too, but Dorenja did a lot to help Gianni. Initially, Gianni was reluctant to take Dorenja's help because he could not figure out how to fit Dorenja in his revenge plans. Because so far, whoever Gianni meets, everybody, he uses them as a pawn in his own revenge plans, in his own, he calls it a design. And he could not find place for Dorenja initially, so he was very reluctant, but later Dorenja's insistence helped Gianni to fit him in Gianni's plans. When Dorenja blackmailed him, by the time actually Valens completely fell in Gianni's trap, there is no one to take down Gianni. That's when we met Dorenja, and that's when we saw that Dorenja can even hit Gianni. So I actually kind of hoped maybe he can take down Gianni because he's almost as intelligent as Gianni. Later we learn that Gianni is a psychopath. He is actually a serial rapist. He killed a bunch of people and is on run from different nations. Though Valens knew that, he doesn't take action against Dorenja because he needed Dorenja, and I did not find fault in that logic. Any other book I would have hated Dorenja and I would have been furious with Valens for not executing a character like Dorenja. But there is a bigger evil in play here. Gianni already destroyed Erimia, almost destroyed Vadani, and in the process of destroying another civilization, Curhardi. So if Dorenja can take down Gianni, I am okay with the holding of that execution. Now in hindsight, I cannot believe I believed anyone can stop Gianni. That man is ruthless. He even has luck on his side. Anyway, coming back to Dorinja, it's a clever subversion of a psychopath character archetype, making him look like hope to us. Parker's execution of Dorinja's arc is just flawless. In conclusion, I don't think there are heroes in this trilogy. Maybe we can consider Janak Dukas as a hero. He is a straightforward character. He is loyal and fought till the end. He is everything I wanted Neil Dukas to be. Janak is definitely a hero. Maybe that's the reason he did not survive. Overall, Gianni is a villain for me. I mean, you can call him anti-hero if you don't think he is inherently evil. Orsia is a loser. I am really sorry about that, but that's the fact. Valence is definitely morally grey character. He executed Orsia. He knows that Orsia is not a traitor, but he took advantage of the evidence against him to marry Beatrice. And I'm not sure how to classify Mil Dukas. He is definitely naive and gave up at the end. The way he confronted Dorinja, the way he confronted Gianni, there are times I felt he's stupid as well. He does not like Gianni. He knows Gianni is a bad person, but at the end he joined hands with Gianni. But we can't blame him there because Mil Dukas was not in command. He has to take orders from Gianni. Gianni was the general then. So I don't think if Mil qualifies as a morally grey character, but he's definitely not a hero. And Dorinja is a psychopath, definitely morally grey character, leans more towards the darker side. And coming to female characters, I think Beatrice's character, just a sad, tragic character who became a pawn in Gianni's design, revenge plans. That's all. And Gianni's wife is definitely morally grey character. That reminds me to talk about Parker's philosophy of love. I promised I'll revisit that. See, while reading this trilogy, I thought Parker proved his philosophy on love through his story, through his characters. But while taking notes, I realized he kind of proved it wrong, because the quote said, Gianni said, everything really bad that was ever done was done for love. But Gianni knows that his wife doesn't love him. Initially he had doubts, but in book 2, when he met Celes, when he made deal with Celes, he realized that his wife doesn't love him, and she kind of helped with him getting arrested. She is part of the conspiracy behind Gianni's arrest and everything that started this. So if he had really loved his wife, he would have let her go at that moment. Whatever he did from that moment onwards, he did for his own selfish reasons. He did not do it for love. He did it out of his obsession. By the time he was well into his plans, he already destroyed Erimia. He is in the process of erasing Vadani, and it looked like he wanted to see if his design can be executed perfectly, if he would be able to come back to his city. It did not matter to him whether his wife wanted to be with him or not. That's not love. And Dorinja got killed not for the love of his bomb, but for the obsession about this bomb. And Valence's obsession with his teenage infatuation almost destroyed him. He put his entire nation in danger and got most of his people killed. That's how I interpreted, at least. It's very easy to get confused between love and obsession, but love brings out compassion in you, not the destruction. But I only realized it while prepping for this video. The more I'm talking about it, that's how it feels. I'll conclude the video here. I still have to talk about Aram Chanted, Celes failure, but I have been talking for more than an hour and I'm losing my voice. I already filmed another video before this. If I start with Gianni's wife, Bionis, the guy who started everything, Bionis actually, it's not a morally grey character. He is evil character. He is a straightforward, greedy character. He wants war for his own purposes. That's why he did everything with Gianni. I'm not sure how much he loved Gianni's wife. We did not get his perspective, and we did not get even Falia's perspective if he was trapped, and from his perspective how true his love was. So I don't want to go deep into that because we did not get their perspectives. I did not cover everything in terms of the plot. If you want to know more details, we already discussed every book in detail in Alan's channel. I'll link those in the description. Please go and check them. I'm guessing if you are still here, you must have read the series. If you haven't read, let me know if you want to pick it up after watching this video, and if you have read, let me know about my theory about Parker proving his philosophy wrong, and if you want, we can talk about it more in Discord or somewhere else. Overall, I want to say that though I struggled with it while reading it, though the setting and the characters made me miserable, the more time I spent away with it, I am appreciating Parker's brilliance more. I cannot stop thinking about these characters, and I'll definitely reread this trilogy. If you're still here, thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.